Picture a Tuesday night somewhere on Interstate 80 in Nevada. The desert is perfectly dark. There are no streetlights here, no signs of civilization for 40 miles in either direction. A single semi-truck is parked on the shoulder of a rest area. Engine off. Completely still. From the outside, it looks abandoned. But inside that truck, there is a man getting ready for bed. He's brushing his teeth in a space slightly smaller than a walk-in closet. He's going through a nighttime routine as specific and deliberate as anything you do at home. And tomorrow morning, he'll wake up, cook breakfast inside that same cab, and drive another 500 miles before most people have finished their first cup of coffee. This is the story of what it's actually like. There are approximately 3.58 million truck drivers employed in the United States as of 2024. Together, they move roughly 72% of the nation's freight by weight. Every piece of furniture in your home, every package delivered to your door, every bottle of medicine on a pharmacy shelf, almost all of it passed through the hands of someone living this life. And the vast majority of those people are not clocking in and going home at the end of a shift. They are living on the road, sometimes for months at a time, in a space that has to serve simultaneously as their bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, living room, and office, all pressed into roughly 80 square feet. Here's what that space actually looks like. The sleeper cab is the section directly behind the driver's seat. On newer trucks, the kind of high-spec Peterbilts and Kenworths running major freight lanes, the sleeper can be a genuine 72-inch or even 80-inch raised roof compartment. That's 6 feet of standing room. There's a bed, typically full-size, running along the back wall. Built-in storage compartments, drawers, overhead bins, cubbies, engineered with the precision of a ship's quarters or a small aircraft. There might be a mounted television, a small refrigerator, and a microwave. There are power outlets and USB ports. Some rigs have built-in desks. The better-spec'd trucks have what's called an auxiliary power unit, or APU, a small diesel generator that runs independently of the main engine, keeping the climate control, refrigerator, and electronics running while the truck is parked without burning through the fuel that idling a Class 8 engine would cost. But not every company provides APUs. This is one of the hidden divides inside the trucking industry that most outsiders never hear about. Mega carriers, the massive fleets with tens of thousands of trucks, often spec their equipment to minimum standards. A driver working for one of the big carriers might get a truck with a decent sleeper, but no APU, no onboard refrigerator, and strict no idle policies enforced by engine monitoring systems that alert dispatch if the engine runs too long without moving. That driver adapts. They buy a 12-volt cooler, an insulated box that runs off the truck's battery and keeps food cold without electricity. They buy a power inverter, a device that converts DC power from the truck's battery bank into AC household current. A basic inverter might run a laptop, a phone charger, and a small fan. A higher wattage inverter can run a microwave. A good set of truck batteries, fully charged from a day's driving, can power low-draw devices through an entire 10-hour rest without the engine ever turning on. Experienced drivers become experts in power management without ever having taken an electrical class. They know exactly how many watts their devices draw, when their batteries are getting low, and precisely when they need to make a trade-off between comfort and a dead battery in the morning. Sleep itself is its own science inside a truck. The obvious challenge is the truck stop environment. A major truck stop, the kind of facility you find at the intersections of interstate corridors, can hold hundreds of trucks overnight. That many diesel engines, reefer trailers running their own refrigeration units, and air brakes releasing pressure creates a constant ambient noise that would keep most people awake indefinitely. Experienced drivers adapt in ways that are almost ritualistic. Blackout curtains are standard. The sleeper berth has its own set of heavy curtains separating it from the cab, and most drivers add extra coverage to block the constant light pollution of a busy truck stop. Earplugs, white noise machines, fans running for background sound. Some drivers swear by specific parking spots. facing away from the fuel lanes, away from the main entrance, as far from the reefer cluster as possible. Knowing which truck stops are quieter than others becomes genuine professional knowledge. A driver who regularly runs I-10 between Texas and Southern California learns exactly which Loves and which Pilot Flying J locations have the quietest backlots, and they plan their day around parking there. The federal government regulates exactly how much time can be spent driving. The FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, sets what's known as hours of service rules. A property-carrying driver can drive a maximum of 11 hours after a 10-hour off-duty period. They can't be on duty more than 14 consecutive hours after coming on shift, and they're required to take a 30-minute break after 8 cumulative hours of driving. After 60 or 70 hours of on-duty time over 7 or 8 days, they must take a full 34-hour restart. And the FMCSA allows drivers to split their required 10 off-duty hours into 2 segments. One of at least 7 consecutive hours in the sleeper, and a shorter one of at least 2 hours, which gives some flexibility. But the fundamental reality is that truck drivers are constantly managing sleep in a way that the human body was not designed to handle gracefully. Research documents that long-haul truck drivers average only about 4.8 hours of actual verified sleep per day. Not 8, not even 6. 4.8 hours. And attached to each of these drivers is an electronic logging device, an ELD hardwired to the truck's engine, that automatically records every minute of every day. When the engine starts, when the truck moves, when the driver is on duty versus resting. There is no fudging the logbook anymore. A driver who exceeds their hours doesn't just risk a fine. They risk being placed out of service on the shoulder of a highway until enough time has passed to make the log legal again. The payment system for these showers is one of the more elegant pieces of hidden trucking economy. Each chain runs a loyalty program. Pilot Flying J has their My Rewards program. Loves has My Love Rewards. TA Petro runs Ultra One. The mechanic is essentially the same. For every 50 gallons of diesel fuel purchased, a driver earns a free shower credit, given that a Class 8 truck has fuel tanks ranging from 100 to 300 gallons. Most full-time over-the-road drivers earn shower credits faster than they can use them. Credits typically expire after 7 days, which means experienced drivers check their balances constantly and never let credits go to waste. Pilot Flying J famously spent $100 million upgrading its shower facilities across its network. Without shower credits, the walk-in price runs between $10 and $17, depending on location. And a full-time OTR driver paying cash for every shower would spend over $4,000 a year just to stay clean. The loyalty system essentially makes showers free for drivers who run enough fuel. Not every truck stop has showers, though. Smaller independent stops and certain rest areas may have a bathroom and nothing else. This is why route planning for an over-the-road driver is never just about distance and delivery windows. It accounts for where the showers are, how far the next Pilot or Loves is, and whether credits will still be valid by the time the driver arrives. There is a parallel geography of the American road that exists specifically inside the trucking community. A mental map of which exits have which amenities, which stops have clean facilities, which have reliable parking, and which are to be avoided entirely. Food is the third dimension of this daily survival challenge, and it's also where the health picture for truck drivers gets genuinely troubling. A National Institute for Occupational Health and Safety study found that approximately 69% of truck drivers are overweight, and 80% suffer from at least one serious chronic condition, including high blood pressure, sleep apnea, or heart disease. The reasons for it are written directly into the structure of the job. A driver running a tight schedule has very limited time at truck stops. The food options available at 3 a.m. on the eastern edge of Kansas are not a farmer's market. They're a Subway, a Wendy's, a pizza display that's been rotating for 4 hours, and a refrigerator case full of energy drinks and gas station sandwiches. For a driver trying to keep costs low and time tight, the decision isn't between healthy and unhealthy. It's between what's fast What's cheap? And what doesn't require leaving the truck? Road meals at truck stop restaurants can run $50 to $75 a day. 3 weeks on the road without cooking means over $1,000 spent on food alone. Most of it processed, high sodium, and consumed at odd hours that further disrupt already fragile sleep cycles. The drivers who figure out food tend to do it through the cab itself. A driver with a good APU and a microwave can cook real food. Rice, beans, pasta, reheated meals packed in plastic containers at the start of a run. Slow cookers, the small ones, the kind that run on 12-volt power through an inverter, have become standard equipment for drivers who figured out that you can leave a stew going in the passenger seat footwell while you drive all day and arrive at your next rest stop with a hot dinner waiting. Schneider, one of the largest carriers in the country, equips their newer sleeper trucks with factory-installed refrigerators and 1,800-watt pure sine wave inverters specifically because they've recognized that a driver who eats decent food is a healthier, more productive driver than one surviving on gas station food. There's a human texture to all of this that the statistics don't fully capture. Imagine waking up in the sleeper berth of a truck parked behind a Flying J off I-40 near Amarillo, Texas. It's 5:15 in the morning. It's January. The APU has kept the cab at a livable temperature, but you can see frost on the outside of the windshield from your bunk. You have a delivery appointment in Albuquerque at noon. You need to be rolling by 6. The morning routine is compact and efficient in a way that a decade of living in one place could never teach. You're brushing your teeth with water from a small plastic jug. You're checking your hours on the ELD because the countdown to your driving window started the moment you logged back on duty. You're heating water in a small electric kettle for instant oatmeal because the microwave draws too much power this early and the battery bank isn't fully topped off yet. What those numbers and systems don't easily communicate is what 21 days away from home actually feels like from the inside of that cab. The trucking industry's own research has found that approximately 21% of drivers report severe loneliness over the course of a working month. A separate study found that 44% of long-haul drivers reported symptoms of depression during a 12-month period. These are not numbers from an unusually hard year. They are the baseline condition for a significant portion of the people keeping American supply chains functional. A driver parked at a rest area in eastern Montana tonight, with nothing around for 15 miles, has been talking to a dispatcher by text and video calling home when the signal allows. Not total disconnection, but a kind of constant partial connection that can, in some ways, make the distance feel sharper rather than duller. There is a phrase used inside trucking circles that captures something essential about the profession. Experienced OTR drivers describe the sleeper cab as my house. Not metaphorically, literally. Family photos clipped to the sun visor, a specific mug for morning coffee, routines and small rituals that make 80 square feet feel like belonging somewhere. Owner-operators invest in their cabs the way people invest in apartments. Custom mattresses, satellite TV, built-in water systems. Some premium sleeper cabs from Freightliner or Volvo represent $10,000 or $20,000 in interior equipment and personalization. The truck becomes the most personal space the driver has, precisely because it is the only constant space in a life defined by movement. The next time you pass a semi-truck parked at a rest stop with the lights out, try for a moment to picture what's actually inside. Someone is going through exactly what you do every night. Trying to sleep in a place that's trying not to let them. Trying to eat something worth eating. Trying to feel settled somewhere. Even if somewhere is a parking lot off an exit in the middle of a state they won't remember by morning. They'll be back on the road before your alarm goes off. And whatever's on the shelf at the grocery store you visit tomorrow, there's a reasonable chance they're the reason it's there. Living inside a truck teaches a person to solve problems that most people never face. But there are conditions on certain American roads where even all of that preparation, all of that experience, all of that accumulated knowledge runs out of answers fast. That's a story for another time.